It was a cat that supposedly came back to life that got Adrian Gonzalez thinking about fraud on the crowdfunding platform GoFundMe. The story had gone viral. A cat named Bart died, then 5 days later it came back to life, crawling from its grave. It needed expensive veterinary treatment, so the owner's neighbors set up a GoFundMe campaign to help pay the bills. Have you come across a phony crowdfunding campaign? Email hack@abc.net.au. Stories of Bart the zombie cat were gaining traction. The campaign started receiving thousands of dollars, but the Humane Society was paying the bills the whole time, Adrian Gonzalez told Hack. The campaign was illegitimate. An investigation also revealed that the cat wasn't a zombie, it had been buried alive. But GoFundMe didn't take the campaign down. I know in hindsight they wish they had taken it down, because I would not be here doing this now if they had. GoFraudMe is born. Adrian Gonzalez now heads up gofraudme.com, a website dedicated to documenting and exposing fraud and misuse on GoFundMe. SHE's exposed people like a Minnesota moron accused of faking cancer to smoke weed and play video games, and a fake sister who fake died in a fake car accident. I get a lot of tips from people, similar to how GoFundMe polices their own website. I rely on other people coming across shady campaigns so I can look into them. Adrian says, some of them are super cut and dry, it's really obvious. There will be evidence one way or another. It'll either be stolen pictures or a person who is directly involved says, this person said they were going to give me money and they never did. In the US we've had a rough couple of 2 months. You have a lot of people who say they were directly involved in name a tragedy. Wildfire, hurricane, shooting. People come out of the woodwork and say that they themselves were involved, or a family member was involved. I think that's particularly egregious because these are things that impact people so deeply, and for somebody to say, oh yeah, that happened to me too, and they were nowhere near it or affected at all, that's pretty bad to me. GoFundMe has become extraordinarily popular. They've raised $4 billion since launching in 2010. Thousands of new campaigns pop up around the world every day, and while Adrian says it's difficult to quantify how big the platform's fraud problem is, she says, I certainly wouldn't call it uncommon. Hack contacted GoFundMe for an interview. They acknowledged the request but did not respond further. Keeping an eye on the fakers. GoFraudMe isn't a full-time gig for Adrian, though she does make some money off it from ads, but she says it's certainly more than a project for me. Combing through tips and sussing out fakes has made Adrian suspicious of pretty much every charitable crowdfunding campaign. I do think, of course, every online campaign is a scam. I have to. I assume it's a scam until proven otherwise. Even if it's a close friend of mine. It's just in the back of my mind. It gets conditioned in you. But Adrian says she doesn't want people to look at her work and be deterred from donating to projects altogether. I certainly don't want to deter people from being generous. I want those people to give intelligently, and to think about where the money is going, and to not fall for the first sob story that comes across the timeline. Adrian has a fake GoFundMe campaign for Halloween. What's the situation in Australia? Hack asked the ACCC if they received any complaints about charitable crowdfunding in Australia. They said they did not comment on potential investigations or complaints received. NSW Fair Trading told Hack they had only received 3 complaints and 8 inquiries about crowdfunding all kinds, not just charitable, in the last 2 years. But there was the case of a Brisbane mother who was accused of allowing her baby girl to become malnourished, and using the child's story to establish a GoFundMe page that raised more than $15,000. There was also a 21-year-old Brisbane man who pleaded guilty to fraud after raising over $10,000 for cancer treatments, only to spend it on living expenses instead. And in September, a campaign seeking funds to write no in skywriting for the same-sex marriage postal survey had the funds temporarily frozen until they revealed their identities. One way of making fraud harder and less attractive for scammers is by introducing the all-or-nothing method of crowdfunding, according to Start Some Good founder Tom Dawkins. Start Some Good is a crowdfunding platform for social and community enterprises. So in crowdfunding there's 2 main types. There's all or nothing, or keep what you raise. All or nothing means you set a goal, say to raise $10,000. You'll only receive the funds if you make it to $10,000. In the keep what you raise method, you get to keep whatever proportion. Say you only raise $2,000, Tom Dawkins told Hack. Start some good users the all or nothing method of crowdfunding. There's none of this, hey I don't have enough money to do the thing, but I'm going to keep your money anyway. It creates too much uncertainty for what's going to happen with this money. What to look out for if all of this talk has gotten you suspicious. Here's what you should look out for in charitable crowdfunding campaigns. People should really not take everything they see on GoFundMe at face value. I think that's generally a rule as far as the internet goes, period, but a lot of people still think you can believe everything you read on the internet. I think people should automatically be suspicious if someone just reaches out to you out of nowhere, someone you don't know, presents you with some sob story in your Facebook inbox. I would steer very clear from those losing faith in humanity investigating jerks who lie about the dying pets. HASNT totally destroyed Adrian Gonzalez's faith in humanity. I'm a positive, enthusiastic person. I've never really had that much faith in the world, so I can't really say that this work has made me more pessimistic or turned off by the ability of human beings to be really awful. If anything, I think there's been a sort of positive side to it. I enjoy being able to speak to people I help. People who are driven by goodness and generosity. They're always going to win in the end.